Okay, so this is our fourth section of creating spiritual connections online. So, how do you invite people to come and see, help, and stay? This is it's when with poster content, you've given that overall presentation, then you started engaging with comments and likes. And from there, it got a little more serious. So, you started building a relationship with Messenger, and now you become good friends. And um, how do you get them connected to local? Because you can only teach the gospel so much online, and people need that local connection so they can go to church and start building local friends. Because if they can have friends, they can serve, they can participate in a local congregation, their relationship with Christ will be a lot stronger than you're just teaching them online, because you can't really your extent of being able to help them out is limited. So some of the strategies we use to get them connected offline to local people is during a conversation and building relationships, drop hints about how you could connect them locally if they're interested. So in the case where they may be sick in the hospital, it's like, hey, can we send some people over to minister to you if you're interested, right? And they could pray with you, and they might say yes or no. Also, let them know, would you like, it's hard for me to study the Bible with you remotely because we're distant and technology there's issues, but would you like to study the Bible with some people locally that your age or that are in a safe situation you are? Then you can connect them locally, or saying, hey, what are you doing for this Easter Sunday? Do you want to go to, are you going to church? They're like, oh, I don't know a church to go to. Then you might say, hey, I can introduce you to the one I go to here, and there's one close by. So those hints work out. At the right time, suggest that you can make introductions or set up, meetings with local people. So at the right time, don't force it. Build a relationship. They shouldn't feel like, hey, you're in it all to get me to go to church, because you aren't. You're helping them come closer to Christ, and as you're getting them to, as you're helping them progress, this will just be a natural outcome. Virtually, you can start connecting these contacts of yours to online and local members or missionaries. So you can find who the local missionary is in this area, ask them to connect, and then if they have internet, they can connect online, and you can make that introduction. I know that is an amazing way to do this, because these people are connected with you online already. You start a group, they introduce themselves, the conversation starts, and now you guys are all friends. If that can happen often, that's the best way to do that. Facilitate the online meeting. One thing that I found that doesn't work well is if you just send a referral to another church and say, hey, go figure it out. That's kind of like dropping someone. But if you're like, oh yeah, let me give these missionaries a call in advance and find out and let them know about our friendship and what's going on, and then make it more personal, that helps out a lot, and the relationship is a lot more stronger when you can do that. And then once people are meeting with local members and making friends and attending events, just keep it up, keep the relationship up, because I found that people ask a lot of questions to you because they trust you a lot than they do locally. So they might have just had a meeting with some local members, and there was a whole bunch of questions and concerns that they had, but they weren't able to share it. Well, they'll jump online and say, hey, Steve, this is what I heard. Tell me more. What do you think? And that's perfect. So that gives you give you options. So let's go through some of these options of inviting people locally. So one way I've done it is help find local missionaries and introduce them. There was a person here from Burma, and he was in the village, and there was no Christians. There's no Christians out in this area of the world, but in the country next to him there were. So I found Christians there, missionaries there from our church, and introduced them, and they started talking. So that was a great one. I had missionaries from my location. I was talking. We were all friends with this guy. Tried calling him a couple times, and he wanted to study the scriptures there, but he didn't have any, religious books that he could study, or a or any kind of church to go to. So I made that connection, and that's a great way to do that. And I had to find and get those missionaries online. So that took a little time too. It probably took me a month to get that connection worked out. But in that month, we befriended this guy and chatted, and kept in relationship with him. Another one was a church. Invited someone to church. They were interested in knowing more, and they were in Africa, and we shared scriptures. And I said, look, I'm more happy to find a church, and I had to find the right church in Nigeria to point this person to. And that took me a while, but I found one. And the quicker you can find it and they're interested, the easier they go to that church. If it takes a long time, it's hard to do. And if you can introduce people online, is a lot easier. But this person tried, but it just didn't work out. But she was interested in going. I think it took me too long. It took me a month to get her to the right place. This one here was we did an activity. So we had there was a hurricane, and people were orchestrating donations and helping out, and I was leading that, and I involved the neighborhood. And all of a sudden, she reached out to me from one of them posts and, hey, do you have a list of those churches? Because we're looking for one. So activities do help out. And it doesn't necessarily help out right away, but I've had a lot of it where we did activities and later they came around and said, oh, I'd like to see that, or help me find a local church. So that was helpful. Scriptures are another way to connect with people, where you invite them to study scriptures with other people locally, where that started online, and then there's local. We had a really good one where we identified their persona, and that they were a persona in need, and they wanted to have other people similar to them. So we orchestrated a scripture study of people similar to them together. It's kind of like a little support group, and that was just a wonderful experience. It helped the person out tons. So orchestrating local support study groups, local scripture study groups, even though you're far away and you can't attend, but that's great. People love that. And then here was a person who was in need. His wife was in the hospital and she had different needs. So I connected them to a local bishop who came in and was able to talk to them and provide some friendship. This one here, it's, the more background you can give that local bishop, and but you're at the mercy or that, of the minister of what they can and can't do, or what they feel like doing. So all you can do is, if you can't help out, you can connect and build that relationship, and hopefully they'll keep that relationship open. But you are trying your best to make that connection, help people out. Another one was someone needed a job online and he asked to pray for it. So I connected him to someone local in South Africa that may be able to help him, and he really appreciated that. But that's another way of connecting people. It doesn't have to necessarily be, about Christ right away, but it's helping them out, and they requested a prayer. So we were able to make that connection with someone local. Having a network where you could find people all over the world is a lot easier. And it opens up a lot of opportunities if you get that done, to do referrals online to people. But these are different ways of connecting people to local events and going to church and Bible study and members. And to be honest, I think, from one post, if you can engage with people and start building relationships and creating a series of posts that people follow, you'll have lots of these opportunities. The problem will be more on, how do I find that local congregation and those members to get connected to this person? That is a big problem that we have to figure out. But if you can do that, that's a game changer, because there are a lot of people looking, and they so want to go, and they so want to be able to be part of a church that loves and cares and follow Christ. And so we've learned that it's simple, and you just have to make the invite at the right time. So last section, we're talking about being a mentor and how Facebook facilitates that with its own mentoring features.